Welcome again to another session of our online interactions. We are continuing on the topic of salvation as we look through Ephesians, and I thank you for joining us today. Last week we looked at what are we being saved from. As we just try to understand salvation better, we just asked ourselves the question, if we're being saved, then from what are we being saved from? And we got to understand that we are being saved from the wrath of God. So the second question we'd like to look at today is, who is saving us? We are receiving salvation, yes, but from who are we gaining this particular salvation? And just a kind reminder that last week I posed a question for us to just look at ourselves and think through, is our sin that bad enough for us to need salvation? Today's topic looks at a very interesting question that has plagued a lot of individuals. There's a lot of religion that is around if you seek long enough. There are many who don't even believe in God. And the question usually, if you just go around, is Jesus the only way to salvation? Is Jesus the only way to salvation? And if we're just picking up from last week's talk is that we understood that we're being saved from the wrath of God. So the question is, who is saving us from this wrath of God? And we'll go back and look at Ephesians as I read it to us. I'll start from last week's verse, which was chapter 2, verse 1 to 3, then enter this week's passage. And it says, "And you were dead in the trespasses and sins in which you once walked, following the course of this world, following the prince of the power of the air, the spirit that is now at work in the sons of disobedience, among whom we all once lived in the passions of our flesh, carrying out the desires of the body and the mind, and were by nature children of wrath like the rest of mankind. But God, being rich in mercy, because of the great love with which he loved us, even when we were dead in our trespasses, made us alive together with Christ. By grace you have been saved." And this gives us a glimpse of who is saving us. He says, but God, the one who we were against, the one who we had sinned against, the one whom our sin had grieved, is the one who saves us. What a miraculous thing, what a wonderful thing, what a marvelous knowledge that the person we sinned against, the person we committed evil against, the one meting out the judgment against those who are disobedient, is the same one who takes his time, takes his strength, and comes and delivers from his particular love. And I just want you to just sit down and reflect what God does this. What God would overlook all that has been done against him. What God would say that sin deserves justice, sin deserves to be punished, and yet provide for supplement, for what could I use the word, for a substitute for that justice that he requires. He is deserving of the justice because we have wronged him. He won't be at fault if he were to punish all of us because we had wronged him. David in his psalm, in Psalm 51, as he's repenting of his sin, he says that against you only have I sinned and done what is evil against you, that you might be blameless and just when you give your judgment. He goes unto the Lord knowing that he's the only one he's wronged, and he's the only one who can met out judgment against him. And when he metes out this judgment, it is righteous and it is of no particular fault. And this is the amazing news that Christianity shares. This is the gospel that God, although we had wronged him, although we had gone against him, would come out of his way, send his son Jesus Christ to deliver us from his wrath. And I just want you to sit down and reflect over that good news. Over that good news that us who are evil are being saved. It's not that we are good. It's not that we are legitimate people. It's not that we do what is right before the eyes of God. But we are sinners. We are evil. But the Lord saves us from his wrath, from his judgment. And that is the message of the gospel. And I just want you to reflect upon this, to just sit down and consider your life, consider your works, and say, truly, truly, I have been saved by God from his wrath. Thank you so much for joining our session for today. And I hope that we'll continue seeing you. And comment below on the chat what you are learning, what is your takeaway, and how we can pray for you. We continue just to implore you to join our services, both online and physically, at NBC Kibera on our YouTube and Facebook platforms. And also just join us at our church and interact and engage with us. We'd love to hear from you, and we'd love to engage with you. Thank you so much.